The one on the other side, I don't know if that's on the punch list or not. The ones I've always known about were right next to Daryl's apartments over there. I'll have to review
No
the punch
kidding,
list.
there's two on top of the hill, Daryl, or?
Yeah,
Oh, well, then there's three others on the bottom of the hill there.
they're actually broken.
Yes, cracked.
Okay.
Yes,
But I don't know how much they'll, I don't know where cracks are gonna fall into
Yeah.
some of this stuff anyway, for concrete anyway, if it's a natural. I don't know.
well, we'd like it to
We'd
think
like
it
it to
would
look
last,
good, I know, yeah.
well, last longer than 6 months without a crack in it.
Hopefully it would last to the completion of the project.
Well, this will.
Yeah!
Or this would, there's no way this would.
10 years from now.
Way to go, Joel.
So
Make a new punch list.
I can review that with the engineer. And I'll send it out to everybody so you'll have what's been actually specifically cited on all of those items. Talked about the hill. I've mentioned it to a few of the council members, but we did have a leak at the library that has caused some damage. We've probably about a section about 20 foot, 15 foot. The far west roof failed and let a good amount of water in. We called in Servpro, removed all the ceiling tiles. They've got it dehumidifying and the fans blowing and all the water's been extracted. It is still under the 15-year warranty with Duralast. I've called them up, they're coming down to inspect it. But we thought we had the problem solved, and a year later, we get a good hard rain and it finds its way in. So we'll have to deal with that. And my recommendation to them is going to be rip the roof out, because I've called you 5 times on this one, not the whole roof, but that one roof on the far west side. It's 5 calls specifically for that roof. And so you'd think for them it makes smart business sense, being it already cost them $8,000 for the last time they damaged the ceiling. So I guess we'll see where that goes from there. But as I know more, I'll relay it on to you guys. Grass, there's been a lot of people blowing grass in the street, I guess partially for the audience, partially for just for the council members. We've been calling dispatch and having the officers go remind people who are blowing it into the street. Obviously you can't blow it into the street, you know, that's been, seems like we have this conversation with people every year, and so working on trying to get that corrected. I think, you know, we'll get it there, we'll get it improved. And, evidently we had a city employee blowing it into the street, so I'll have to have that conversation. Beyond that, sidewalks, I was notified.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt, I
Yeah.
just had a question. Would that include, like, someone washing their clippings from the sidewalk into the street, obviously, storm sewer?
Like-
Same thing?
Like if they were taking a hose and pushing?
Yeah.
it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a guy with a hose out there in the day, and I'm kinda like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No, and that's the reason, I guess, you know, just so people know the reason. A, it deteriorates the street, you know, that grass getting pushed in there is not good for the pavement. And then B, it gets down into the storm sewer. It can, you know, some of these lawns, if they wait long enough, it can clog up intakes and cause issues. So it's very simple to turn the mower around and blow the other way. So,
At least one round anyway.
yeah. So, there's that, and then sidewalks, the engineer notified me that they will be back in town next week. All said, they'll be back on site doing the rest of the sidewalk work, so. They were making good progress before, I think some wet weather and whatnot, we've slowed down, and then they were off site for a few days, and so hopefully we can get the sidewalk project wrapped up in less than a year or two.
Do they have much to do yet, or is it look like it's?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
Is there a lot?
There's a lot. I mean, they've got the sidewalks out next to City Hall, and then all the way up Fifth and over all those sections that were covered over there that were seal coated. Any of the sidewalks that touch any of those areas that were seal coated all have to be done. And so you figure any place you see seal coating, then those intersections will be ripped out. So anything in the radius.
Hopefully we get a dry summer, huh?
Yeah. And then, I don't know, Andrea, did you want to talk at all, or did you want to?
Do you want me to come up there so you can
You
hear me
missed
better?
public input in that, no, I don't know.
Do you want me to come up there so you can hear me better?
Sure.
On Wednesday of this week, my daughter almost got killed on my street on 6th Avenue North. You can sit right there. This is my daughter. She just turned 12. We have a very large problem with the traffic and the speeds going down our street. The gentleman who did it killed our dog because the dog jumped out in front of her. He was a service dog for her because she has post-traumatic stress disorder. He jumped out in front of her. The guy swerved and hit his brakes because he was texting on his phone. I went to the police department. They said there's nothing they can do unless they are sitting there and clocking the speed and seeing what's going on. They can do nothing. They told me to call dispatch every time we have problems with speeding. So I started calling dispatch and telling them. The very next day, as we tried to cross the street coming from a garage sale, a lady slowed down on the street. When they slowed down, the gentleman behind was driving so fast he couldn't stop and slow down because he wasn't paying enough attention and passed in town. The following day, my neighbors contacted me. They now want to come to the city council or make a petition or do something because they were out there and they yelled at a gentleman on his motorcycle who was flying by and going extremely fast. Because she yelled at him, he continued to go round and round the block speeding. She called the police department. She said she sat out there for 45 minutes and nobody came as he continued to circle and speed by just to make them mad. They are from out of state. They just moved to Humboldt. Their opinion of Humboldt is it's a beautiful, wonderful town that is going to go downhill when people start getting hit and killed. But that's the only thing they see negative about Humboldt. I really feel Aaron lives right down the street from me. He totally knows and understands. Across the street, we have the Robinsons who have young children. It could have been their children. Across the street, the other direction, we have Andy Lemonis, who has young children. It could have been their children out in the street. Could have been anybody. There was 2 people walking that ran to the rescue. Something's got to be done. I don't know what the answer is. When you put the sign out there to get people, they speed by and go faster to race the sign and see how fast they can go. This street has become a very, very large problem. And I would very much like everybody to consider to do something. Walter's kids live on the same road down the street. I don't care if it's my child or if it's someone else's. We don't need a death before we do something. So my question to the council is could we please do something about this street or consider? If not, my neighbors are saying they are going to and would like to know how many signatures on a petition and would like to know what they need to do to help the city council because it's such a large problem.
Was that vehicle pulling the trailer that ran over your dog?
Yeah. It took them over half a block to stop. I don't know, I know there was a lot of passerbyers that day. I was focused on my daughter and the animal. So I know Brian Saturn stopped and was there, so he may have seen some of it. He was very kind in stopping to help along with Heather Nave was one of the people. Andy Lemonis did come out.
and write some tickets and have a speed trap. I think until people get to the end, I think it's fine.
I know my street, just down the street, see a lot of speeders on that too, so.
This,
I have a sign I set out when the grandkids are over, slow down, but that's a joke.
yeah. Just so, the major through roads are probably the biggest problems, right? Like Sixth Avenue, Fifth Street.
Fifth Street.
Elmhurst is a big one, especially with the kids when they come off out of school. Is there any other places, is Highway 169 and Highway 3, is that something you guys think is an issue or not? I know the
Well,
state.
it's a 40
told me
mile an
that
hour
it
zone
should.
down through there, down through Broadway. I don't know that that's,
Okay.
but some of these side streets, it's.
I think the residential streets.
That's where most of this stuff is happening, is on the residential.
Where the children are, where the kids are, and where people are passing.
Did you want to comment something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I did talk to the police department, and like Walter told me, their reaction was actually quite ridiculous. They complained and they said it's you guys who are restricting them from being allowed to be because they don't have enough officers. The gentleman told me there's only one person in the daytime, so he doesn't have time to be writing petty tickets. That was his reaction, is they said that you guys don't give them enough men in the daytime.
Well, I do know they're shorthanded right now. David Jones is still off work, so, so they are in kind of, a tough situation, but if that's an ongoing issue, yeah, maybe that is something we need to
There's
address.
absolutely no way you could hire another
Well, no,
officer.
I know, oh, you mean another office?
Yeah,
No,
oh my God.
no, I'm just saying, we just.
I just think we need to pay attention, start paying more attention to the through streets and,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to write a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I think if we're very public and we, Ken's gonna write an article about the council meeting, and if it states that you give people a heads up, by the way, you're gonna start getting tickets if you're speeding through town. We've tried to be kind about it, but it's an issue.
It is.
I completely agree. I mean, I live on Sixth Avenue. I've had that conversation with Dean multiple times, and that's why we had the speed sign, but I had the same feelings as you did. When the speed sign was up, it actually just,
Encourage speeding to
Didn't
see
help.
what their car registered is.
I think one was down.
It was,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I will take care of them.
Anything else, Aaron?
Nope.
Gloria?
No.
Daryl?
No.
Nope. Joel?
Well, I am kind of offended by that statement from our police officer, whichever one it was. I don't know which one of them made it, but we just got through the contract negotiations over there, and they're talking about petty tickets. And that really kind of irritates me, because a lot of these ordinances that, as far as I'm concerned, some of these ordinances, we could back off on some of that and start writing some speeding tickets. I don't know, I didn't know that Officer Jones was out, but I don't appreciate having that pushback on me. It's not my job. I'm not the one in the car with the badge and the gun.
Well, I think
I
that
guess that's all I've got to say.
there's a lot of, they do get short shifted sometimes over there with just the amount of, especially with Jones being out and whatnot, but, I think it's something that we can refocus.
Well, we're all
the
supposed to
effort.
be working together here.
Yeah,
And to pass it off on the city council that the city council wants kids to be hurt, or that we don't want petty tickets written, that is absolutely ludicrous,
sure.
as far as I'm concerned. Does anybody else feel that way on the council?
Yep, 100%.
No, I guess that's all I've got.
John?
I guess I could keep on going about the same thing, but I'm just gonna get even more angry. So,
No, I don't.
The only thing, I had a couple residents ask me on, the South Taft, South Fifth Street, in regard to the 8th Avenue street down there.
7?
No, 8th actually, John.
There is-
The one we just put in, it's a half a street. They were wondering if we would consider extending it from Fifth Street to the west to Taft because of the addition of the townhouses, because now we're funneling you know, the 4 homes there, not a big deal, but then we will have, you know, there's 12 condos there, and then it'll all have to be serviced by a half a road there, and they're wondering, since the road's already platted to the west there.
That was vacated.
That was vacant.
Oh, that was
Part of what was
vacated?
sold- That was part of what was sold off for the townhomes. That'll all be parking and private drive through there.
Even, to the west
Yes.
there? That will be a private.
Everything from the 4 homes, from the edge of the 4 homes over through the townhomes, that's all private. They're paying to put in everything there. They're paying for the parking. They're paying for.
Will they have access to Taft Street then?
No.
From there? Oh,
No.
see, that's what this question came about.
Okay.
If they could have access from the townhomes over to Taft, so then they would have 2 ways to enter that, you know.
They could put their own street.
That would have to be a private drive.
You know, and I'm pretty sure you'd have 2 property owners over there that would
Right.
not be terribly
Right,
happy with that
exactly.
road being put through, because
Okay,
they use that as their drive.
Yes, I
essentially.
noticed that, yeah.
But, so there's, I mean, that's the thing is, you know, balancing interests. You've got 4 homes and 12 units that'll be coming from that side.
From Fifth Street over.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so that is increased traffic, but, you know, the fact, if you put it through, I think you'd have a hard time putting it through just because the rock is to the surface right where that road is on the edge. And plus, you wouldn't be able to send any of that traffic through because you'd be putting it through a private. You would essentially have 8th Avenue here and 8th Avenue here with private in between. And so you'd probably be channeling a lot of traffic into a private drive, which would probably be.
Okay, well, I just,
Yeah.
they asked if I could bring it up, and I said,
Yep.
well, we talked about it, so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
You know, with junk days behind us now, Aaron and I toured, we spent one whole morning driving around, and actually looked better than I thought it would, because we had, was there 26
26 letters.
homes that we determined that day that had not followed, you know, the rules or whatever and stuff anyway. But since that time, several of those have been cleaned up.
Yeah, a lot of them took care of it.
You know, and I don't know how you get the word out there, but I had 2 people ask me this week, or this weekend, that they had boxes sitting out on the curb, and why didn't the city take them? And I said, what did you have in the boxes? And he said, they were full of old shoes. And I said, old shoes will fit in a garbage bag. Anything that fits in a garbage bag,
It was the box that got.
we don't pick up on junk days, because it's not junk, it's regular garbage. He said, oh, well, he said, I didn't know that, that's fine. I'll pick them up then and put them in the garbage bag. I said, well, okay, you know, but somehow, you know, people don't get the word, you know, the rules, you know, they really don't. And old tires were out, you know, and